Today's video, I want to talk about fuel mileage with my 24 valve Cummins and how I've gotten it to slightly improve since buying the truck, and how I plan to make it improve even more with some upcoming modifications. Clearly, when you would have bought one of these second gen 24 valve Cummins trucks brand new back in the day, say 2001, obviously from the factory they are set up for certain specs and to get and obtain the best fuel mileage possible. As with anything though, most people can't leave their hands off of it and are looking to do things to increase the fuel mileage or better the performance, the horsepower and torque levels out of these second gen Cummins trucks, or any diesel truck for that matter. Now, somebody like myself who didn't pick up one of these second gen 24 valve Cummins trucks until 16 years after they were put out and made, and the truck has been through numerous different hands or multiple people's hands and stuff, you're getting a platform obviously that isn't quite at the stock standards from when they were originally put out back in the day. I say that to say, if you're buying a new truck, then clearly you are getting obviously a good base platform to start off of that hasn't had anybody really to mess with it, and you know the full history of it and are able to go ahead and move forward with things of your own and probably have an easier time to modify and pull better fuel mileage out of it or gain those horsepower and torque gains. Now, stock injectors are really where it is at for basically being able to keep that stock or good fuel mileage for your truck, because they obviously were tested and regulated to perform best with the trucks. But when you start to modify the trucks and start to put things on to gain more horsepower and stuff, one of the main things you're gonna do is fueling mods, aka injectors. With bigger injectors in your Cummins truck, Ford Power Stroke, Chevy Duramax, whatever your diesel truck is, obviously you run the risk of losing fuel mileage if you have a heavy foot and you get into the throttle a lot. And depending on your other mods that kind of complement and go along with your injectors, you also can still see or attain good fuel mileage with bigger injectors as well. If you drive conservatively and aren't a bat out of hell wild banshee man out there on the roads, you can still get that higher fuel mileage and better, more efficient fuel mileage, I would say. I guess not necessarily may it be much higher, but the fuel is gonna be more efficient in the truck, in my case anyways, because who knows when the injectors were ever done in my 2001 24 valve Cummins, or like if they ever were at all, I don't know. But when I pulled them out, they weren't in horrible shape, but they're definitely had seen better days. So the fact I put new injectors in, even though they're 125 horsepower ones, they're gonna be more efficient than those old ones were, and I'm gonna have better flow through them. The nozzles are gonna spray, the spray patterns are gonna be more consistent and even, and I have noticed a little bit of an increase in my fuel mileage, only because I feel like the older injectors that were in my Cummins truck were just probably a little gunked up, and the spray patterns were probably not what they should have been. With the bigger 125 horsepower injectors giving me slightly better fuel mileage if I stay conservative with the throttle and I don't get into it too much, they can also be pretty harsh too and burn quite a bit of fuel, considering that the turbo on the truck is still the stock turbo, as we've gone over in numerous videos. The HY35 turbo that comes on these automatic 24 valve Cummins trucks, the second gens, it's just a tiny little thing. It's got a small little exhaust housing, and it just can't pump enough volume, enough airflow up into the engine to burn all that extra fuel that is able to flow through those 125 horsepower injectors. Now, obviously, we know that the other downside to poor fuel mileage, because the 125 horsepower injectors can dump quite a bit of fuel and the HY35 can't keep up with its air supply, the second downside to that is obviously that it creates higher and hotter EGTs, so that's no good. That's a double whammy right there. But luckily for me, getting the hotter EGTs is all the more reason to stay out of the throttle until we get the turbo off the truck. So it all works out in the end one way or another if you are able to, I guess, behave and contain yourself, not get into the throttle much and step on it. I'm not saying that you can't get into it, because I get into it once in a while. You can definitely get into the throttle, but it's not going to be for long, because you'll look over and the next thing you know, your EGT gauge will go from 700 range or whatever, and it'll be up there 1300, 1400, and you'll just be like, oh shit, what the hell's going on in my truck? And you'll back off quick and pray that nothing's happening underneath the hood. I don't want any of that business with my truck. No freaking pistons melting down, blowing anything up. Nope, no thanks, not for me. But that's not to say that I am looking forward to the day that's coming very soon when we will be supplying those injectors with a little bit more airflow, and we should see just a slight increase again in the miles per gallon. So we'll be getting a little bit more miles per gallon and miles per gallon, and it'll all work out in the end. As we continue to add things to the truck that will allow the airflow to become better, then our miles per gallon and our fuel mileage will definitely continue to increase just a little bit. So the big line fuel kit, the bigger injectors, they definitely do help out with fuel mileage and just making the fuel flow more efficient, but they definitely can burn a lot of fuel and suck a lot of fuel too. So you got to kind of pick your poison and just make sure that you continue to mod your truck. Once you start, you kind of have to continue in order to keep everything kind of along the lines of a stock truck. So as you add more fuel, you got to add more air, and try to keep all those ratios as close to the stock ratios as possible, only with aftermarket parts, so that you can keep that fuel mileage, you can increase your horsepower, your torque, all that good stuff, and have fun, not have to worry about backing out of the throttle within 2 seconds like I do at the moment. But that's all gonna change, I know. I'm going 40 miles an hour up a hill right now. My foot is barely on the throttle and the EGTs are just riding at 900. So there's a little insight for you as to how quickly they can spike up. At the moment, I wouldn't even be able to get into the throttle to try and increase my speed at any ridiculous rate, because the EGTs would jump up to 1200 so fast. So that helps me stay out of the skinny pedal for the moment and get that better fuel mileage, because if I could get into it, then obviously I'm gonna be burning more fuel. I am currently getting around 15 to 16 miles per gallon on my 01 24 valve Cummins, and when we get the air side of things figured out under the hood and we keep improving that to help the fuel burn efficiently and keep things cooler up there under the hood and all that stuff, it should help it maybe stay around the same, or maybe squeeze another mile per gallon out of that. But on the highway, maybe guys are getting around 20, 21 miles per gallon on the highway. So I don't know. We're gonna hope for the best and just keep an eye on it with all the stuff that we are going to continue to do on the 24 valve Cummins. And obviously we will keep updating you guys here on the channel as to how the fuel mileage is changing as we add different parts to the truck and kind of see how they work together with the other parts that we already have installed on the Cummins. One of these days though, we will just have to go and get on the highway and just take a drive, fill the truck up, just take a drive until we get to a half a tank, turn around and drive back, and then see what we get out of that tank cruising the highway and figure out our miles per gallon for highway driving. Now that I got nobody in front of me, I'm cruising at 60 miles an hour, my foot about a quarter of the way down on the throttle. When I get up around this bend onto the next straight, just watch how quickly that EGT gauge will jump up when I lay into the throttle. So So you can see that freaking gauge just goes, man. Once you get into it and the truck shifts and starts to go, those 125 horsepower injectors really start dumping that fuel, and that turbo can't keep up to burn it, and the camera's blurry. But yeah, the turbo can't keep up with that fuel, so you're wasting a bunch of it right there. Not gonna get good fuel mileage. But that all changes with turbos and air intakes and intake horns and all that good stuff, all the fun stuff that you guys all want to do to your trucks. I mean, what the hell? How could you not want to do that? That spike right there in the EGTs though is what babysits me in the driver's seat in keeping my foot out of the throttle and getting the best fuel mileage that I can at the moment. But once we get other parts on the truck, I'm not going to be able to behave all that much, and I'm sure that we will, I don't know, maybe not get as good a fuel mileage as we could. 394.3 miles. Fuel gauge is 1/8 of a tank below half, so we have basically 3/8 of a tank left, and I believe that we are on the track to 500 miles out of this tank alone, and that's not even highway driving. That is long straight roads like this one right out here with in-town and city style driving. When I first got this thing, a full tank would not last me this long. I would get maybe like 350 miles out of a tank. So there was plenty of stuff that was just wrong with the truck. Leaks, fuel leaks from the fuel filter housing, and the injectors just being gunked up and nasty. Probably, like I said, the spray pattern wasn't that good, but we are making progress. Every time we touch this truck and add new parts to it, anything we do to it is just turning it right around and making it the way that it should be, and I couldn't be any happier with it. I really, truly do love my second gen 24 valve Cummins. And the day that I let this truck go or get rid of it to move into something different or just to move on from it, it's gonna be a sad day. I may tear up and cry a little on that day. That is going to do it for this video though. Just wanted to talk about my improvement in fuel mileage because I'm just stoked about it, man. I'm excited, I'm happy, because like I said, it was not anywhere near as good as it is right now when I first got this 24 valve Cummins truck. So I'm just pumped up, want to talk about that a little bit and put it out there and ask you guys what kind of fuel mileage you get in your Cummins, your Power Stroke, your Duramax, because I want to know numbers and I want to see, let's play a game, guys. Who can get the best fuel mileage out of their trucks? So I want to know what the numbers are down in the comment section. Let me know what you guys are getting. Like I said, hitting the like button really does just help the channel, and recommend the videos to new people, hopefully to bring in new family members here on Pure Panorama and benefit everybody. I've said it a million times. It'll benefit us all because we'll get more knowledge, more brain power here on the channel. How could you go wrong with that? So if you are stopping in for the first time, you're new, you just found Pure Panorama, you stopping in to check out the videos and see what's going on over here, I encourage you to hit that subscribe button because we got a lot of crap still to do on my 24 valve Cummins. Going to be trying to get involved with a couple of my buddies' trucks and bringing them into the channel. Just trying to bring other stuff here to the channel so it's just not me and my mug and my truck all the time, because that's got to get boring for you guys. So we're working on some other stuff right now to incorporate that into the channel. So hit that subscribe button. I will see you guys in the next video. Time to go eat dinner. Peace. I just wanna